Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to unpack fascinating sources, really pull out the core insights to help you become truly well informed. Today, we're embarking on, well, a deeply insightful journey into session 103 of the Law of One. It's a source known for its profound wisdom, and it's all in this unique Q&A format with a consciousness called Ra. And what's so compelling, I think, about this particular session is how it really weaves together the very personal struggles, the choices of the instrument that's the channel, right?
hmm
With these really expansive symbolic interpretations, it offers lessons that resonate on so many levels. So our mission today is to dive deep, go question by question, and really extract the maximum detail, the understanding, and, the positive analysis from Ra's answers. We want to turn that complex wisdom into clear insights for you.
Absolutely. And this session, it really provides a beautiful blend, doesn't it? You get practical guidance for personal well-being alongside these, well, profound metaphysical insights. It really digs into the nature of catalysts, those challenges that make us grow, and the whole journey of self-worth, the subtle mechanics of spiritual evolution. Honestly, it's a session just packed with aha moments for anyone curious about their own path and how to navigate it.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning then. Ra kicks things off with a pretty direct assessment of the instrument's condition. Then that very first question, 103.1, Ra describes her physical distortions as serious and her vital energies much diminished.
Yeah.
They even point out that the instrument's will was unwisely used and actually encouraged these energetic problems. That's quite a way to start, linking our inner world so directly to our physical state.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's truly striking there is how directly Ra connects that diminished vital energy, her, core life force, to her unwisely used will. It raises a big question for all of us, doesn't it? How do our inner choices, the direction of our focus, our intention, even maybe our subconscious wills,
Yeah.
how does that impact our energetic well-being?
Right.
It suggests this profound correlation between consciousness and our physical state. Really emphasizes the importance of pondering not just what we do, but the why and the how behind our choices.
And it gets very specific very quickly. In the next couple of questions, 103.2 and 3, Ra gives almost immediate practical guidance. They ask for breath expulsion over the instrument's chest.
hmm
They note that the yellow ray chemical body, Ra's term for the physical body, is exhausted, even though she'd been trying exercise and diet. Ra confirms an infection isn't fully gone, but is far less virulent. It's just such a vivid reminder of that intricate dance between the physical and the energetic. They're so intertwined.
Completely. And this leads right into a really pivotal moment in the session.
Yeah. Question 103.4. The instrument asks why she lost her joy. And Ra's answer is just incredibly profound.
It is.
They explain she made a free will decision not to address the physical catalyst causing great pain, basically refusing prescribed painkillers. And because of that, the catalyst was then given in a more complete form.
Exactly. And we connect that to the bigger picture Ra paints. This choice, refusing the meds to experience the catalyst fully, it put her in what Ra calls a choice of the martyr.
Choice of the martyr.
Yeah, it sounds intense, but it's not just about physical discomfort. Ra presents it as this profound spiritual crossroads, either, as Ra puts it, to put value in a fatal action and die, or to put value on consciousness of the creation and of the one creator, and thereby live.
Wow.
And Ra says the instrument chose to live through her will, but her mind and her mental emotional patterns made it hard to maintain inner unity during that intensity. But the crucial insight here, the takeaway, is that confronting catalyst head-on, even when it's painful, can actually accelerate spiritual progress. Ra suggests this acceptance should allow work on removing indigo ray blockage to continue apace.
Okay, indigo ray blockage. That's a term that comes up a lot in the Law of One. Can you
Yeah.
just quickly unpack what Ra means by that? How does it relate here?
Sure. So in Ra's system, the indigo ray relates to the energy center associated with the higher intuition, that direct pipeline to infinite intelligence. So blockages there might show up as difficulty with clear inner knowing, or maybe struggles with self-acceptance or fully stepping into one's spiritual purpose.
I see.
So when Ra says accepting the catalyst helps remove that blockage, it implies facing the pain wasn't just physical endurance. It was, in a way, a powerful act of spiritual clearing. It helped align her more deeply with her true self, her higher purpose.
So a really deep lesson there about how facing catalyst, even painful stuff, can actually speed up our spiritual progress. Then in 103.5, she asks about recommended work for this indigo ray blockage, and Ra's response is, well, incredibly tailored.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is Ra refuses to give some general one-size-fits-all recommendation. They say the distortional vortex is unique for each person. But for this instrument, The best work is in her mental and mental-emotional powers of analysis and observation,
Mm,
which suggests that when your strongest part, in her case, a very sharp analytical mind, is strengthened and aimed towards healing, it can actually lift up the weaker parts.
makes sense.
And Rai also points out this is the first time she'd refused drugs for pain, so it signals a new, deeper level of engaging with her catalyst. It's just a powerful case for personalizing the healing journey, you know?
Definitely. And before moving on, there's a quick check-in from Ra in 103.6. It's about that fifth density service to self-oriented companion.
Ah, yes, the negative entity.
Right. Ra confirms it's been at rest, but is soon to be your companion once again. Just a little hint at these ongoing spiritual dynamics, these cycles, reminding us there are always unseen influences, even in deep spiritual work.
Always layers.
So the conversation then shifts back to practical ways to boost the instrument's energies. Ra initially points to previously covered material in 103.7,
Yeah, sort of a gentle nudge to review.
but the questioner presses in 103.8, asking for more specific, salient activity to help.
And what really stands out here is Ra's immediate caution. They mention the channel as being distorted by severe physical issues, which just underscores how delicate these deep energetic workings are.
Right, the physical body matters.
Absolutely. For the support group, Ra suggests praise and thanksgiving in harmony, noting they've done exceptionally well with that. But for the instrument herself, Ra dives much deeper into what they call the arduous journey from worth in action to worth in essay.
Worth in being.
Exactly. Worth in being.
Oh.
Ra emphasizes that denying oneself, even through symbolic sacrifices,
Right.
well, it can inadvertently frame your sense of self in poorness, feeding unworthiness, which raises a really interesting question for all of us, I think. Are good works, our service, our striving, are they sometimes rooted in the wrong reasons? Like obligation or feeling unworthy? Does that cause inner confusion? Ra encourages the instrument to value itself, to contemplate true richness of being. It's almost like Ra is saying, stop making yourself spiritually poor by denying your inherent value.
It reminds me of that feeling sometimes, like you have to struggle to deserve something good.
Right. And Ra seems to just flip that completely on its head.
It's a profound perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
That our worth isn't earned through action, it's just who we are. And then in 103.9, the questioner asks if anything else can be done to increase vital energy. Ra's response is just stark. We have come up against the full stop of free will.
Pow. Yeah. Powerful, maybe humbling reminder that ultimately some choices, some healing, it just has to come from within us.
We're the final arbiters of our own journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from that intensely personal journey of the instrument, Ra then shifts gears completely, taking us into this deeper, universal language, the symbolism of the archetypes of the mind. Let's try to unlock the insights from card 7, which many people know as the Chariot in traditional tarot.
Right.
In 103.9, the questioner makes a really insightful guess about the T with two right angles on the entity's chest. They suggest it relates to choosing paths and the great way, that's the transformation from our physical reality, what Ra calls space-time, into the non-physical spiritual dimension, time-space. And Ra's answer, just yes.
Simple, but affirms a deep insight. And this is where it gets really interesting, connecting the personal journey we just discussed to the cosmic picture. Ra confirms in 103.1 that the Tao and the architect's square do indeed suggest the closeness, the proximity of the space-time of the Great Way's environment to time-space. Ra calls this observation most perceptive.
High praise from Ra.
Indeed. Ra then explains the entire mood of the Great Way is distinct from the significator, that's Ra's term for the significant self, the core you shaped by experience. And this significator is deeply influenced by what Ra calls the veiling process. That's essentially the spiritual amnesia we experience in this density, forgetting our true oneness.
Right, the veil.
Exactly. And this veiling creates a kind of new architecture for our reality. It allows us to tap into the great limitless current of time-space, that non-physical spiritual dimension that governs higher evolution, contrasting with our physical space-time reality. It's really a beautiful way to frame how our earthly experiences, even the tough ones, are actually tools for profound spiritual advancement.
That's fascinating. Okay, next. In 103.12, the questioner makes another perceptive guess, this time about the wheels on this chariot. They suggest the wheels indicate the mind's ability now to move in time-space. And Ra offers a bit of a nuanced correction and then this brilliant query back.
Right. Ra says it's not totally incorrect because movement in time-space is linked to what the individual has assimilated internally, what they've integrated. But the truly fascinating part is Ra's redirect. It's classic Ra, using that Socratic method, they ask. However, it would be more appropriate to draw the attention to the fact that although the chariot is wheeled, it is not harnessed to that which draws it by a physical or visible harness. What then, O student, links and harnesses the chariot's power of movement to the chariot?
Wow, what does harness it?
Exactly. It's this profound question inviting us, the students, to ponder the real nature of our progress. Is it external? Is it something we attach? Or is it internal? It strongly suggests the true driving force, the engine of our evolution, is unseen. It's internal, tied directly to our inner assimilation of wisdom and experience.
That's a wonderful thought to carry around. And building on the symbolism, in 103.13, the idea comes up of replacing the traditional sword in the chariot image.
Yeah, with a magical sphere and a downward scepter.
And Rod deems this quite acceptable, especially if the sphere may be imaged as spherical and effulgent. Radiant, basically.
Right. It subtly shifts the archetype's energy, doesn't it? Away from direct conflict or outward force.
Towards something more radiant, integrated. A power born from inner mastery.
Precisely.
So the conversation about card 7 continues in 103.14, focusing now on the bent left leg of the two sphinxes shown on the card. The guess is it indicates some transformation, or maybe an inability to move on the left side.
And Ross says this observation has merit in that it may serve as the obverse, like the flip side, of the connotation intended. So, close, but not quite the main point.
Okay, so what is the main point?
Ross says the position actually shows two items. First, the dual possibilities of these characters. They represent either resting or making progress in time. And if you try to mix resting and progressing, Rod notes the upright, moving leg will be greatly hampered by the leg that is bent. You can't really do both effectively at once.
Choose a lane, basically.
Pretty much. The other meaning Rod gives connects back to that right angle with this architectural squareness we talked about earlier. It reinforces how close time-space, the spiritual realm, is brought by the veiling process. This closeness enables us, the actors on this stage, to use our minds consciously to evolve. So it's all about balanced movement, choosing focused progress, not getting stuck in a mixed state.
Got it. And finally, for card 7 in 103.15, the questioner links the skewed skirt and the turned face to service to self-orientation and catalyst, similar to how those symbols appeared on other archetype cards.
And Ra confirms this is roughly correct, though there's a brief channel correction mentioned first. But importantly, Ra also offers this wonderful softening context for this sidelong look. They note that cultural commonplaces of artistic expression of those in Egypt often depicted faces and feet turned sideways. It wasn't always deeply symbolic in that specific way.
Ah, okay. A bit of historical context.
Exactly. And what's really reassuring, I think, and speaks volumes of the questioner's attunement, is Ra's final comment on the archetype discussion. They say that in no case thus far in these deliberations, however, has any misinterpretation or unsuitable interpretation been drawn.
That's amazing. A testament to the depth of understanding happening there.
Truly.
Okay, so to wrap up the session, the discussion circles back to practicalities in 103.16. Why the need for that breath expulsion during this session when it wasn't typical? Ra reveals the instrument's strong desire for the working actually caused her to be somewhat premature in its leaving of the yellow ray physical body. Basically, she started to disconnect too soon.
Right. And this led to an object being dropped which caused a chest muscle injury.
Ouch!
Yeah. And this is a really crucial detail, especially for anyone doing deep energetic work or spiritual practices. Ra explained there was a metaphysical component to this injury. This necessitated a cleansing of the environment. The working space, Ra clarifies, lacked its usual level of protection. That's why their breath, which Ra uses as an energetic cleansing tool, was employed. It just raises such an important point about the subtle energies involved in these deep contacts and the absolute necessity of proper energetic hygiene. Protecting your space if you're opening up to spiritual channels or deep meditation.
That's so important. And then in 103.17 and 18, it's clarified that this lack of protection wasn't because too much time had passed since the last session.
No, it was specific.
It was specifically the lack of regular repetition of the so-called banishing ritual. That's incredibly direct guidance.
It really is. Very practical. And the next question, 103.19, Ra confirms that performing the banishing ritual daily would be acceptable.
Okay.
So that's a really tangible takeaway for anyone engaged in similar deep spiritual or energetic work. The profound importance of consistent protective practices. It's a simple but powerful act of, well, energetic self-care.
Absolutely. And as the session concludes, in 103.20, Ra's parting words are just full of encouragement. They highlight that the group's alignments are fastidiously observed, that they're conscientious.
Yeah, it's lovely.
They advise continue and support one for the other and find the praise and thanksgiving that harmony produces. Rest your cares and be merry. Just a beautiful, gentle send-off.
Really is.
Wow. What an incredible deep dive into session 103. We've really unpacked a lot here, haven't we? From those intricate links between will and health, the profound choices around catalyst and pain, to the rich symbolic language of the archetypes, and then back to the very practical need for energetic protection. It just shows how deeply connected our physical and spiritual well-being truly are.
Indeed. This session is such a beautiful illustration that personal evolution isn't just one thing, it's holistic. It involves not just our actions, but our inner state, our understanding of how to engage with catalysts, how our energetic environment affects us. It powerfully underscores the transformative power of conscious choice and that true richness of being that Ra talks about, that resides within each of us, waiting to be valued.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? As you go about your day, maybe consider Ra's profound question about the chariot archetype. What then, O student, links and harnesses the chariot's power of movement to the chariot?
Hmm.
Perhaps the answer isn't some external harness we need to find or build. Maybe it lies in the unseen power of your own integrated self-worth, your conscious intention, and that often overlooked inner engine of just being. Something to ponder. Until next time, keep diving deep.